which make all kind of techno breadcrumb coatings for different products and different brands. Yeah, and they have a big R&D kitchen. So even in this one sector, there are all these kind of interesting local, almost walking distance from the space studio. It's amazing.
Okay.
So I suppose the way that I think that it could really fulfill, it kind of could be a microcosm of what we need to do across the country, is to try to use the capacity we've got in the school to really help the students. It's almost to kind of open their eyes to the fact that science isn't just chemistry in a laboratory.
Yep.
Obviously it can be that, and that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Or becoming a doctor, also brilliant. But it can be so many different things, and you can pursue an interest to whatever level you like, as it were. You know, I'm sure you've heard that we've got one student who's just about to join the Jaguar Land Rover.
Yes, so I heard, yes.
Right, their apprenticeship, degree apprentice scheme. So that's massive for us, and she's a girl, so even better in a way to show different pathways for people who might not have considered them. So I'm not sure necessarily space needs to be our only focus. I think wherever we look.
That's kind of what my follow-up was going to be.
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, space is very, it's a great thing to talk about in terms of being, you know, it's got kind of, I mean, when I worked at the Science Museum, you knew that you could always talk to visitors about space, you could always talk about robots.
Yeah.
You know, there's like some areas of science that are just really fascinating, and everybody wants to get a bit of a look in, so that's great. But in terms of practical career paths, I think as we look round Banbury, in any sector, we'll find all sorts of potential routes into really interesting jobs and careers. Whether you want to be a practical, hands-on scientist, or whether you want to be a programmer, or whether you want to project manage these things to actually become reality, we really could be training and opening the perspectives of a lot of young people in areas that at the moment those companies are saying they're struggling to recruit into. So I always, you know, in terms of the King's research, and in terms of, I also do some science journalism, so I write for the IET's magazine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you know, engineering and technology. Great. So I've done some articles for them, particularly about apprenticeships, and looking at different, you know, I've done something about kind of older apprentices, but I've also done stuff about what are the kind of, you know, fascinating pathways that we can take into these companies now. Okay. And lots of companies are saying that they can't recruit the right caliber of people, or they, you know, if you get somebody coming in who has done an engineering degree, they haven't necessarily got the hands-on kind of day-to-day knowledge that they would love people to come in on. So that's where the apprentice route also can help. So in terms of that role that we might play locally, if we can be a place where more and more people can find out about apprentice routes, which could be brilliant for a wide range of different people, or the university route, but can see that there are jobs that they can then be moving towards, or have a bit of a vision. What we really need more of in Banbury as a town is a vision for where lots and lots of individual young people have the potential to go, and really could go, really could get to. Okay. And that's what I'm really excited about. So we've got one of our governors who is quite expert on local apprenticeships. Okay. And we've just found a place for a student who's only in year 9, so he's over at Banbury Academy, but it's just a kind of example, really, that he's found a place for him to take a kind of construction-based apprenticeship type of thing. It's like a pre-apprenticeship.
Oh, I see, yes.
Yep. Yeah? So if we can get access for more students into those sorts of things, they don't have to, they could be the most brilliant academic student, they could be much more of a practical learner, They could be somebody who hasn't yet found what it is they want to do in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But we could really be offering a diversity of activities that, because I just think science could be a fantastic option for so many people.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow we're not bridging that divide quite perfectly yet as a country, but we could be part of that.
Okay. And so, in terms of kind of enacting this local vision, if you will, how difficult has employer and parent buy-in been?
To the school,
Yep.
do you mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Julia Ingham has not been in post all that long, as you know, so since February.
Yep.
But she has been making contact as a kind of, new guard, as it were, making contact again with lots of people like Rutherford Appleton, and all kinds of different organisations locally. And although we did lose a bit of momentum with those relationships, she's not finding it at all difficult to rekindle that interest.
Oh, okay, that's excellent.
Yeah, it's really exciting, yes. So, but I think it's because companies like that and organisations like Rutherford Appleton, they need to reach students like ours. They need to reach a greater diversity of students. We provide lots and lots of diversity within Banbury, which I absolutely love. And those companies and organisations are really keen to expand the people that they are attracting into their courses.
Okay.
So I don't think there's any issue with that at all.
Okay.
We as parents, I think we still have a ways to go with understanding things like apprenticeships, because they're just, they're a bit new. They don't seem quite as shiny as going to university sometimes. But I think that will change, and I'm a great believer in that, an apprenticeship and no debt.
Right.
In a good company, or in a small company, if you want, you could really get on your career ladder earlier if you wanted. So for some people, university is the right choice.
Okay.
But we'll carry on those conversations with parents.
Okay. So then, kind of just last couple of questions, really. What has been one of, say, your best experiences in being involved with the Space Studio, and what's potentially been one of the biggest challenges?
Okay. Well, let me think of what one of the challenges has been. As you know, I'm fairly new. Well, I'll tell you one of the things that I've been asking about for a while as a governor, and this is quite an interesting one, I think, for those of us who are interested in, the metrics behind things. One of the projects that the Space Studio and Banbury Academy do together in year 12, so, they've just come into their sixth form years, is they do something called the Aspirations Employability Portfolio. Yep. Did you know all about that?
I don't know all about it, but I did hear the students talk about it, because I have spoken with a few of the students.
Oh, good. I'm glad. So that's something that we pursue at the moment instead of work experience. So they don't go out and do, a week or whatever in a company, but we do offer them this, and they do it on a Tuesday every week. They did their initial projects with some engineering companies. Middle one was they did a project with Digital Schoolhouse, so they were making games to teach computational learning, and now they're working on the food festival that I mentioned. So those things are, I think, in principle, it could be really, really good. But what I haven't seen coming out to the governors yet is a kind of rigorous way of tracking what benefit the students gain from it. So Lucy, I know, is going to be, because she and I have already sort of discussed, and I'm involved in the current project, of course, so we are looking at how to track kind of what she's called the 4 C's of project-based learning.
Okay.
Things like communication, creativity, and I can't remember the other 2. But anyway, not us assessing the students, but them learning to self-assess.
Okay.
Yeah? So that they, at the beginning of the project, could say, okay, well, I know that I'm not that great at some aspect of teamwork or